All right, so the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy have agreed to mutually part ways. And honestly, that move really surprised me because I was expecting the Cowboys to do what they always do and retain Mike McCarthy. I mean, that's what organizations like the Cowboys habitually do. Cowboys, Steelers, Yankees, they usually try to retain their head coaches or managers in the situation of the Yankees at all costs for as long as they possibly can until you're literally unable to retain them anymore and the sky is absolutely falling in. Then you've got to make a change when you absolutely have to. But those kinds of organizations, Cowboys, Steelers, Yankees, your perennial historical franchises, they're very traditional by nature and they like to retain their head coaches. They don't like that kind of drastic organizational change very often. However, the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, when they were negotiating on terms of a new deal, they were unable to agree on the length of a new contract. And therefore, both parties decided that it was time to mutually part ways. That's over. That's done with. It's now on to laying down the framework for the future for the Cowboys. Who's going to be the next head coach? That's the burning question here in the DFW area, here in Fort Worth. And that's the burning question in the NFL community overall. Well, there's a story, a rumor, if you will, that's been picking up steam very quickly. And that raises my eyebrow. It's Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, if you will, the head coach of Colorado, possibly taking on the role, the duty of being the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's one of those concepts to me that initially it feels kind of far-fetched, feels kind of out there, like, oh, that could never happen. But the more you think about it and the more you see the story start to materialize, the more plausible it seems. I firmly believe that Deion Sanders is exactly what the Cowboys need in this point in time. The Cowboys need somebody that's going to cause an organizational shift. A seismic wave, if you will. Deion is your guy for that. Somebody to take you out of your comfort zone organizationally. Disrupt the status quo. For that, Deion is your guy. That's exactly what he did at Colorado. In 2022, Colorado had one win, one measly win. After 1 year under the tutelage of Deion Sanders, Colorado quadrupled their win total. Yes, they missed a bowl game, but that is huge for just 1 year to win 4 games after just one. I mean, one is pitiful. And then 2024, Colorado wins 9 games, clinches a spot in a bowl game, which has been, bowl games have been few and far between for the Colorado Buffaloes. And that's all a result of how Deion shifted the culture at Colorado. He disrupted the norms that were there of mediocrity, of underperforming. He wasn't going to tolerate it. And he was going to very quickly and intentionally instill his vision into the Colorado football program. That's exactly what he did, and it was extremely effective. I firmly believe he can do the same thing for the Dallas Cowboys, because the Cowboys are a team, with the exception of this past season, they've been a fixture in the playoffs. Not deep in the playoffs, but in the playoffs. But right now, with the Cowboys' current trajectory, they face the risk of possibly being a team that lingers around 500, sub 500, 9-8, 8-9, 7-10. That's not the Cowboys standard. And it's certainly not the Cowboys standard to be irrelevant. When you remain content with the status quo and you avoid organizational change at all costs, anything that could disrupt the comfort that the Cowboys are feeling right now, you're just going to continue to sit around perfectly mid. You bring in somebody like Deion Sanders, there's a new layer of spice that's introduced to the Cowboys. And he makes it very clear that he's going to run this organization from a football operations standpoint the way that he wants it to. That's the kind of sense of direction that the Cowboys need right now. That's the kind of spark, the kind of ignition that the Cowboys need to remain relevant and get back to their ways of winning 10, 11, 12 games a year. And let me tell you right now, NFL players, especially defensive players, will want to play for Deion Sanders. Because that's been an issue with the Cowboys right now too, and it's been a conversation among NFL players. A lot of guys in free agency, they don't want to go to Dallas, which blows my mind because the Cowboys have one of the best facilities in America when it comes to training. The Star is magnificent. The resources that the Cowboys have are almost second to none. There's a few organizations in the NFL that can go toe-to-toe with what the Cowboys offer from a resource standpoint, but there's very few of them. But yet guys don't want to come to Dallas. You bring in somebody like Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, all of a sudden guys are going to want to come to Dallas. That's huge. That changes the game for the Cowboys and makes them more competitive than they've been in years. And you may ask yourself the question too, well, Deion Sanders said that, he's got a kickstand down, which means he's staying for a while in Colorado. He said that several weeks ago. He wouldn't leave Colorado. He's also under a 5-year deal with the Buffalo, so Deion's not going anywhere. Well, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's perhaps the most coveted job in the universe of football, and Deion Sanders played for the Cowboys at one time. If that job's available and the Cowboys have interests, as it sounds like they do right now, he's going to at least talk, and if those talks go well, I think that he will be favored to be the Cowboys' next head coach. The time is now, Cowboys, and the time is now, Coach Prime. I think that this is a match made in heaven, and I don't love Deion Sanders leaving Colorado because I believe that he's building something brick by brick, and this is something that I usually wouldn't be in favor of because when you're in a spot where you've laid down a foundation and you see momentum picking up and the entire program is invested in you and you reciprocate that investment back in the program, kind of like Kirby Smart in Georgia, Dan Lanning in Oregon. When you have something like that, you don't want to leave. Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame. But very few guys get the opportunity to coach the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's time for the Cowboys to finally make a big swing, take a huge risk. If you want to win now, this is a move you've got to make. And if you're Deion Sanders, I don't know if an opportunity like this ever comes your way again. Maybe an NFL coaching opportunity, but coaching the largest brand in professional sports, that's a whole other opportunity with a lot of magnitude. I think the time is now for Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys to happen. There's my take. Have a great day.